Well, prices have risen only gently around the world in the first half of the year. In fact, they're only 3% up. But what sets this period apart is the enormous volatility that we've seen due to political instability and due to natural disasters. So while much of the world is up 2 to 4%, speaking of Europe and North America here, Egypt was down 25% and Japan down 9% in the period due to the tsunami. So on a historical view, hotel pricing has just recovered to levels last seen in 2005. But of course, wages have not fallen back to levels in 2005. And what that means is that hotels are now, on a relative basis, very, very good value for money. Well, perhaps the most dramatic effect that the Arab Spring had on hotel prices were not in fact the falls seen in North Africa, but the rises seen in more traditional Mediterranean destinations as a result of people switching out of North Africa back into the Spains, back into Greece, back into Italy. So I think the most dramatic example is Ibiza. So as people switched rather abruptly from North Africa into Ibiza, for the first half of the year, Ibiza saw price rises of up to 57%. So there is a strong contrast emerging between the fortunes of struggling economies and those of booming economies. Struggling economies like Greece versus booming economies like Australia or Brazil. So you can see Athens, where hotel prices in sterling terms are falling by 15%, but prices are rising in Sydney by 22% and in Sao Paulo by 27%. Now, Ireland, which has been a struggling economy, is starting to see some signs of a revival. So in the first part of 2011, prices rose year on year by 7% in sterling terms. So another story that's emerging here is the continued strength of international business hubs as compared to regional business centers. So strong business hubs like Singapore, like Hong Kong, are rising 11, 17%. More regional centers like Oslo, down 7%, or Edinburgh, down 2%. So still another story emerging from the report is that citizens of countries with strong currencies, so the Australian dollar, Swedish kroner, the Brazilian real, are all enjoying price falls as they travel still. And indeed the strength of their currencies is stimulating international travel. Citizens of countries with weak currencies, for example sterling, are saying that prices are continuing to rise abroad, and that is encouraging more domestic stays. Well, the first half of 2011 is the time when we annualize the booking period for the World Cup in 2010 in South Africa. So now that this has passed, we can clearly see what has happened to hotel prices in 2011. And the answer is they've fallen very steeply. So within South Africa as a whole, and in rand terms, South African hotels are down 26%. Now in euro terms, Cape Town is down less steeply at 8%, but down 20% in sterling terms. Now, could this be a foretaste of what we will see with the London Olympics in 2012? The prices will run up, but they will just as steeply fall away. Well, we're seeing quite a few stories in the UK. The first one is that hotel prices in the UK, again in sterling terms, are falling in the first half of the year, and that is very interesting because it compares to rising consumer inflation. It's not often you see those things moving in opposite directions, but it's happening at the moment. Now, as we turn to London, which often tends to go its own road in pricing terms with respect to the regions, if the regions are broadly down, London is up. London is up 3%. And London is typically aided by the weak currency because it draws in visitors from overseas, and that effect tends to be more concentrated in London with respect to the regions. Now, one of the things that's very interesting is while London prices might be up 3%, the satellite towns around London, such as High Wycombe or such as Watford, are up markedly, up to 27% up. And we attribute this to a lack of supply associated with major events in the city, such as the Royal Wedding, such as the Chelsea Flower Show. And so people simply can't get rooms in the city. They're staying farther out and they're commuting in for those events. And finally, while London has reached the 20th rank in terms of most expensive cities to stay in around the world, there are a lot of hotel rooms under development in London. In fact, London leads Europe with new hotel rooms being added, 4,500 rooms being added at present. And it is possible that these new hotel rooms, no doubt built for the Olympics, are going to act as a brake on London pricing in the short term.